What if the greatest threat to your growth is not the world outside, not the obstacles you see, not the critics who doubt you, but everything you think you already know? What if every lesson you've ever learned, every triumph you've celebrated, every strategy you thought made you invincible, is quietly building invisible walls around your mind? What if your intelligence, your experience, your past victories, instead of opening doors, are silently locking the ones that matter most? The doors to your future evolution, the ones that lead to levels of skill, insight, and understanding you haven't yet imagined? There is a Japanese philosophy that does something few teachings dare to do. It doesn't just encourage growth. It doesn't offer simple hacks or temporary tricks. It shatters the ceilings that your own knowledge and habits have built, piece by piece, silently, completely. It shows you how to step beyond what you thought was your limit, how to let go of the "I already know this" mindset, how to make learning a river that never dries, a fire that never wanes, a force that keeps reshaping who you are. And if you truly understand it, if you let it sink into your bones, into your daily actions, learning will never end for you again. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. Every day will become a battlefield where your old self is left behind, and the person you're becoming takes another decisive step forward. This is not theory. This is evolution. This is what it looks like when the mind refuses to settle, when growth is not optional but inevitable. This is the Cipher Phantom. And today, we enter one of the most dangerous, most transformative mental disciplines ever practiced in Japan. This is not a productivity hack. This is not a study trick. This is not another loop of fleeting motivation or empty advice that disappears the moment you close your eyes. No, what we are diving into is far more potent, far more insidious, and far more revolutionary. It is a philosophy that does something very few teachings dare to do. It rewires the way you think, the way you absorb knowledge, the way you move through the world. It creates infinite learning. It makes growth not optional, but inevitable. This philosophy is called Shoshin, the beginner's mind. It was popularized in the timeless classic Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shunryu Suzuki. On the surface, it sounds almost harmless, almost quaint. A gentle idea that invites humility, openness, and curiosity. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. But simplicity is deceptive, because the moment you truly grasp it, the moment you internalize it, your mind begins to change in ways that are both subtle and terrifying. The beginner's mind does not just open doors. It tears down walls. It erases the limits that experience, ego, and pride have built around your thinking. It allows you to see patterns, opportunities, and solutions that your expert self could never imagine. Applied correctly, Shoshin makes you unstoppable. It makes failure irrelevant. It turns every mistake into fuel, every question into a key, every moment into an opportunity for mastery. It is a weapon disguised as a philosophy, and once you wield it, nothing in learning, in growth, in life will ever stand in your way again. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Knowing. Most people stop learning long before they stop breathing. It's not because the world runs out of knowledge. It's not because they lack curiosity or desire. It's because somewhere along the line, they reach a point where competence convinces them they are done. They think they've arrived. They think they've mastered enough. And in that moment, the journey of growth quietly stalls. Competence becomes identity, and identity becomes ego. Ego is a silent, relentless force. It does not argue. It does not shout. It simply resists correction. It tells you that mistakes are failures, that learning is unnecessary, that questioning yourself is weakness. The moment you say, "I know this already," your brain stops searching. The hunger for understanding, the drive to explore, the spark of curiosity, all of it suffocates under the weight of what you think you already know. And without awareness, growth dies quietly, invisibly, while life keeps moving forward. Shoshin exists to destroy this trap. It refuses the easy comfort of assumed knowledge. It teaches you to approach every skill, every conversation, every opportunity, with the same wide-eyed openness you had when you first started, when every moment felt alive with possibility. Not pretending to be ignorant, not discarding what you know, but refusing to be closed. Refusing to let past victories, past lessons, Past expertise build walls around your mind. Shoshin is the antidote to stagnation. It is a discipline that keeps your brain searching, your perception sharp, your curiosity unbroken. It reminds you that mastery is not a destination. It is a process, and the process only exists when your mind remains hungry, flexible, and, above all, awake. Because the truth is this: the second you stop learning, you stop evolving. And in a world moving as fast as ours, stopping is the beginning of falling behind. Chapter 2: Strategic Humility. In disciplines like Aikido, even masters, those who have spent decades perfecting every movement, return every day to practice the most basic motions. Not once, not occasionally, but day after day, repetition after repetition. Why would a master, someone the world sees as accomplished, spend hours on what a beginner struggles to learn? Because mastery is not about complexity. It is not about showing off skill or accumulating knowledge to impress others. Mastery is about depth, and depth does not reveal itself to the arrogant or the complacent. It reveals itself only to those who remain open, who approach each movement, each decision, each moment with humility, strategic humility. Strategic humility is not weakness. It is not surrender. It is not the act of letting others dominate you. It is power under control. It is knowing that your ego, your identity, your pride are tools, not chains. When you detach yourself from being the knowledgeable one, when you release the need to appear competent, you unlock a power most people never experience. You free yourself to absorb faster than those trapped in ego's narrow grip. You listen deeper, not just to words, but to intention. You observe more precisely, not just with your eyes, but with your mind, your intuition, your senses attuned to nuance. You adapt without resistance, not clumsily, not reactively, but fluidly, almost preemptively, as if anticipating what the world will throw at you before it even happens. This is how infinite learners are built, not through shortcuts, not through flashy tricks or temporary inspiration, but through the relentless practice of humility, repeated daily, even when no one is watching, even when no one applauds. Because true growth is silent. It thrives in repetition. It multiplies in openness, and it will quietly make you unstoppable. Chapter 3: Detaching from Intellectual Ego. The ego wants to be right. It craves certainty, validation, and the approval of others. It thrives on defending itself, proving itself, and maintaining the image of competence. Shoshin, the beginner's mind, wants something entirely different. Shoshin wants to be accurate. It values truth over pride. It values understanding over appearances. These two drives, ego and Shoshin, are not just different. They are opposites. One closes doors. The other opens them wide. When you argue to protect your image, when you defend your reputation or your smartness, you are not just talking. You are losing data. You are ignoring reality. You are refusing insight before it even arrives. When you cling to what you think you already know, you create invisible barriers around your mind. You stop seeing the nuances. You block possibilities. You stunt your own evolution. The beginner's mind says, "I may be wrong." That simple sentence, that small, almost fragile admission, multiplies growth in ways nothing else can. It dismantles ego's fortress, clears the path for curiosity, and allows knowledge to flow freely into the spaces ego once occupied. Children learn at astonishing speeds because they are not afraid to look foolish. They experiment, stumble, fail, and try again, all without hesitation, without shame, without the need to defend an image. Adults stagnate because they are afraid. Afraid to appear ignorant. Afraid to admit mistakes. Afraid to confront the limits of what they know. And that fear is the enemy of infinite learning. If you want to learn without end, if you want growth that never stops, you must become comfortable being unfinished. You must embrace incompletion. You must treat every idea, every skill, every moment as an opportunity to begin again. Because the beginner's mind does not rest. It does not settle. It does not stop at what has already been achieved. It stretches, expands, and transforms continuously. And in that space, growth becomes not a goal, but your very nature. Chapter 4: Seeing the Old as New. Here is the paradox. The fastest learners, the ones who seem to absorb knowledge at impossible speeds, are not constantly chasing the newest, the shiniest, or the most exciting. They are not slaves to novelty, fooled into thinking that only new brings growth. No, their secret lies somewhere subtler, deeper, infinitely more powerful. They extract infinity from repetition. The same book read twice is not the same book. The pages are the same, the words unchanged, but your mind is not the same. Every time you revisit it, you see what you couldn't see before. The same skill, practiced again and again, reveals layers that were invisible to your previous self. The same conversation, even with the same person, can expose hidden patterns, unspoken truths, insights buried beneath assumptions. When you approach repetition with assumption, you get boredom. The mind grows restless. The eyes glaze over. Energy dissipates. You cheat yourself out of growth. When you approach repetition with Shoshin, the beginner's mind, the effect is the opposite. You see, you notice, you refine, you perceive subtlety where before there was only familiarity. You extract more than technique. You extract understanding. You extract mastery. And refinement compounds. Tiny improvements, stacked day after day, session after session, become massive transformation over time. What seemed trivial in isolation, the repetition of a gesture, a paragraph, a note, becomes monumental when viewed through the lens of Shoshin. What others discard as mundane becomes your secret weapon, and the world does not notice at first. But eventually, it cannot ignore the results. This is how infinite learners are made. Not by chasing the new, not by overcomplicating, not by doing more, but by seeing the old as new, by treating every repetition as if it holds the key to evolution. Because it does. Chapter 5. The Edge of Possibility. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. This is not just a clever phrase. It is a blueprint for the way knowledge, perception, and growth either expand or collapse. Why does this happen? Because expertise creates filters. Filters simplify reality. Filters tell you what is important and what is not, what matters and what does not. They help you move faster, yes, but they also blind you. Filters create blind spots. Blind spots create stagnation. The more certain you are that you know, the more the world hides itself from you. You stop seeing what you can't categorize. You stop noticing what doesn't fit neatly into your existing map. You stop evolving. Shoshin destroys those filters. It tears them down silently, invisibly, at the level of thought itself. It allows you to enter any room, whether it is business, art, combat, relationships, or study, with one silent, potent command. Teach me, not because you are weak, not because you are inferior, not because you lack knowledge, but because you refuse to be constrained by what you already understand. Because you recognize that certainty is the cage of the mind, and openness is the wings. This is the architecture of infinite learning. It is not accidental. It is not a gimmick. It is a deliberate choice to see the world without the blinders of ego and past success. It is a commitment to remain unclosed, unfixed, unfinished. Because at the edge of possibility, where the unknown meets preparation, that is where transformation occurs. And the beginner's mind carries you there. Every step taken with Shoshin, every moment approached with curiosity, expands the horizon of what is achievable. What was once impossible becomes visible. What was once limited becomes expansive. What was once closed becomes alive with potential. That is the power of refusing to be confined by what you already know. Mastery is not a destination. It is not a finish line you cross and then rest. It is not a trophy to display or a skill to claim as complete. Mastery is a loop. A continuous, unending loop of practice, reflection, and refinement. A loop that spins forward only if you are willing, truly willing, to return again and again to the posture of the student. Shoshin is not the first step of learning. It is not a temporary mindset you adopt to start a new skill or project. It is the discipline that protects you from ever stopping. It is the force that prevents complacency from creeping in. It is the lens through which every moment becomes an opportunity for growth. Every mistake becomes a teacher. Every repetition becomes a doorway. To live in Shoshin is to remain open, to see every encounter, every skill, every conversation as a chance to begin again. To remain curious, even when you think you already know. To remain unfinished, even when others consider you complete or accomplished. And when you truly embrace this discipline, When you make the loop permanent, evolution becomes permanent. Growth stops being a struggle. Learning stops being a task. It becomes your nature, your environment, your mind. Your very existence begins to bend toward mastery. Every day becomes practice. Every moment becomes a lesson. Every interaction, every skill, every challenge becomes a chance to restart, to refine, to expand, to evolve. This is Shoshin, the beginner's mind, the endless path, the secret that turns fleeting effort into unstoppable momentum. And once you understand it, once you live it, there is no end to what you can become. If this shifted your perspective, don't just watch, apply it. Today, enter one conversation, one task, one skill, with a beginner's mind. Then come back and tell me what changed. Subscribe to the Cypher Phantom for more psychological weapons, ancient philosophies, and mental disciplines, designed to make you sharper than yesterday. Stay adaptable, stay dangerous, and never let knowing replace learning.